here, and we have a special little one for this. We have all our delightful little founders to interrogate. So first, yeah, and we have a special little one for this. Yes, it will probably be a trap. I will probably grill you about everything that I can think of, and you are going to regret your life decisions. Sounds like a good day, doesn't it?
Can't wait.
Right, so, for those who don't know, and you should all know, so if you don't know, I'm disappointed in you, we've got Creatrix.
Hey-o.
Who is kind of feeling like he's dead, so we'll just leave him be. Totally won't ask you like 50 million questions.
Sounds like a lie.
And we've got Mr. Impartial.
Yeah.
We got little old Pigeon.
Hello.
And then we got James.
Hi guys.
At least somebody sounds enthusiastic.
Sorry, guys and girls. Got to be politically correct.
How kind of you. Right, so I believe you actually have an announcement as a group of founders, do you?
We'll do that last.
Oh, you want to do that last? Fine. Just ruin my plans. It's fine. Yep. Right, let's start with Mr. Impartial. You're going to enjoy this one. Squad, V10, your comp team. Tell us your plans.
Dead game.
Yeah, it's been dead game for ages, but we'll just skip over that.
End of squad.
Wow.
Green Jacket's dead.
Well, that lasted all of 2 months.
I'm only kidding. So, what's my plans?
Yes, like how do you see things going forward with them, with the release of V10 and everything?
So currently, I've kind of put the competitive side on hold for a little bit, just because V9 and V10 is so different. I don't really want to train people in bad habits, because V10 was so different from V9 in so many ways that it's basically a new game, which I'm sure it will change a lot from the playtest, because obviously the playtest isn't what V10 is going to be, and I think it will speed up and everything. But until V10 comes out, I've kind of put a hold on TLR competitive squad side of things. But I think competitively V10 will be amazing. I'm a bit worried about what it will be like on pub servers. I think you're going to get a lot of, if it's anything like the playtest, you might get a lot of boring matches, which are just fight over the two middle flags and bomb the shit out of each other, which would be kind of boring. But competitively, I think it could be amazing, because it opens up a lot of new avenues for training different tactics, and bounding and all this kind of stuff will actually have a place to play. And suppression, or not really suppression, but laser point accuracy with heavy machine guns is definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more sort of long range, I think. A lot more snipies. I don't think it's going to be so many rush into a building and just storm the living crap out of them.
Yeah, if it's anything like the playtest, and again, I personally hope it won't be. I think they went a bit too far, but it definitely seems to err on the side of camping. Whereas if you're sitting or lying, or basically if you're stationary and someone's running about and you've got your scope on them, you're gonna win that firefight every time, which I personally don't like, but it has. Because it does lead to that kind of defensive mindset of, right, now we've got the bleed cap, let's just stay on here, defend, and not bother with attacking anymore, because there's no chance anyone's going to actually be able to attack us. Yeah. With what could be interesting is what we didn't see in the playtest, because obviously it was kind of all unorganised. But in a competitive scenario where that happens, you might see the use of stuff like mortars coming in a lot more, which would be interesting.
Yeah, and then obviously with ISKT new season starting soon, are you going to enter us all into that?
Well, I definitely want to get us into it, but obviously ISKT's gone up to 27 players as well, which is we've got enough technically, but we haven't got enough comfortably. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and I don't know, I know they say that they want to start it in February, but they also said they're going to wait until V10's out. And I hope there's a little bit of time between V10 and ISKT to kind of relearn, and maybe get some fresh blood in from V10 as well.
So you're anticipating some new people joining the clan and everything with V10 then?
Well, I think V10's definitely got it. I think it minimises the level gap between gamers. So those kind of Twitch shooters have been nerfed pretty hard, and the average Joe who's just running about, just not a great player, he's all of a sudden got a lot more chance against some of the good players. Is my initial impression. So I think it does make it more open to everyone.
Does that not make them good?
No, not really.
You're so generous with your words, aren't you? You know how to inspire confidence in us all.
No, I'm just saying that the level gap, from what I saw, the level gap had been minimised. You weren't getting those you were getting very few outstanding scores. Do you know what I mean? Everyone seemed to be on a much more level playing field in terms of scores. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I personally didn't like it, but some people loved it. So it's kind of a give and take.
Leads us into a good point there with obviously V10 coming out with new members, etc, etc. Leads us to little Mr. Career Tricks and the recruitment process.
Yes.
So, for anyone who does want to join TLR, what's sort of like the easy way for them to do it and everything?
Well, I mean, right now there isn't really much of a process because of how we've got it laid out. So, as far as anyone who wants to join TLR is concerned, as long as you meet our minimum requirements as far as age and, replying to the recruiters and stuff, you're pretty much sold. As long as you haven't got VAC bans within the past 2 years, I think, as well, then you're fine right now. We're planning on stepping that up. I want to say first quarter of 2018, but we'll have to see on how the time frames work out. But we're hoping on stepping up and changing the recruitment process, so there's a lot more in terms of requirement and an actual process that people will go into. At that point, becoming a member of TLR will become a lot harder, because I know a lot of people have been saying we've been growing quite rapidly, and that has made some people quite uncomfortable. As far as they don't know who's coming in, and so many new faces come in the space of a week, that they just think it's kind of like, well, we take everyone and anyone. And right now, yeah, that is probably the case, but we definitely want to restrict it in the future. But one of my main concerns is we don't want to go too far with putting a load of different requirements and stuff in before we're ready to do so, and we really need the tools and resources to do that, as it adds a shitload of admin on. So we're just waiting, really, biding our time until we can get that change in place. But right now, it's a good time to join if you don't want to have to go through a bunch of hoops. Basically, I don't know.
So what are you thinking the process is going to be in the future?
The process is going to be going back to a slightly older-fashioned way that we did things when we first started out, and the way that we did things even before TLR in previous communities and stuff. So you'll have a probationary period, a time where you're not a member, but you are not just a random, if that makes sense. And then through that, instead of doing what we did before, where we had a referral system where everyone from the community would kind of have to pool in and say whether this person was good or not, that really wasn't working because not enough people from the community were getting involved with the referrals as one problem, and plus it was a lot of admin to keep track of. We're going to do it so each recruiter is assigned, their set lot of recruits, and they'll keep an eye on their progress through the community, keep an eye on how active they are, keep an eye on, what people are thinking of them, whether they're going to fit in, what games they're playing, stuff like that. And then from that, they'll be able to decide essentially whether they get that recruiter's referral. And from there, they'll go on, as long as they reach it by the end of the probation period, which should be about 3 weeks or so, they should be able to push on through to be a full member. So there'll be a lot more of a personal touch. Recruiters' jobs will step up quite a bit in terms of they'll be spending a lot more time with their recruits, so we'll be able to ease people into the community as well, integrate them into a lot more of the games that we play, and introduce them to what TLR is a lot easier over the course of those 3 weeks, instead of them just applying because they've played on our squad server and then going, oh yeah, well, here you go, here it is. Here's a bunch of channels, here's the Discord, have fun. Which is kind of what it is now. So we're hoping to really make it a lot more personal and make it a lot more community driven from that.
Yeah, because I also think there's quite a few of us in the clan who are sort of like, who the hell is this new person? I've never blooming seen them. And then just sort of like, because obviously we are now becoming a lot more diverse in our games and everything. There are a lot of people who don't know each other because obviously they play that game. Someone plays something completely different and you just never meet each other.
Yeah.
I mean, as well, like as we grow, that will become sort of the case in some instances because the more people there are, the more people there are to know, which is why we need to bring in some more of the community events that we bring on and maybe get a weekly event going.
Yeah, that's part of the plan. Is when we get the new system in place, recruiters are going to be teaming up with the events team, and we're going to be organising kind of events on free-to-play games that are easy to hop in and play on, that everyone can get involved with, old members and new members, and we're hoping that then we can use those as kind of like a social gathering of everyone to introduce people to everyone and get people integrated to stop that whole like who the hell's this person kind of thing going on.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But so obviously, how are you going to fit that sort of like around so like people's time zones and everything? Because obviously we've got people from all over the world now. So are you thinking maybe just one set time that works for the majority, a couple at different times?
We're probably going to start off with one that fits the majority, to be honest. But it depends, because obviously as we grow, and I think this will be a topic that we will go into a bit further later on as well, depending on what questions get asked. But as we grow in different areas and try and push out in the different, like US, for example, with a completely different time zone, we might end up having two of those events that run for two of the primary time zones that we have. But right now, the majority of our members are either split between UK or Western Europe. So there's only like about a 1 hour difference between most of us, and then we've got a good few people outside of that area, but we got to cater to the many as opposed to the few right now. Yeah. And then as we grow, as far as staff is concerned, we can then start throwing people in and getting more events like that going.
Yeah, so a question for you now, Impartial, from Daisy. It says, how does TLR feel about PS and HLL, and also who would TLR want to band up with if they don't get 27 for ISKT?
Good question. So, I'm assuming PS being Postscript and HLL being Hell Let Loose.
I believe so.
Yeah, so Hell Let Loose, I've been looking at quite a lot recently, and I've heard like various different things about it. Some people say it's a fake game, that it's never going to actually be made, and some people are a lot more positive about it. If Hell Let Loose is anything like what it looks like, then yeah, it looks like it could be amazing. It could be something that we try and get quite heavy into. But there has been quite a few like things bounded around that I've heard, such as them. The reason it looks so good in their videos is because they've turned tessellation like all the way up, which means that it would never actually be able to run like that on 100-person servers, etc. So with Hell Let Loose and Postscription, I haven't really looked into as much, mainly because it's just like a mod of Squad essentially that they're trying to make a new game, which I don't know. Hell Let Loose is kind of the one that I've been looking at more. If that turns out to be anything like what it looks like, and obviously I think they're starting pre-alpha or closed alpha testing soon, and if it turns out to be going well, then yeah, that is something that could be quite interesting to look at. In terms of ISKT, if we don't get the 27, who would we band with? As of yet, I have no idea. I haven't put any feelers out or anything yet. Just kind of waiting for V10 to see what happens, because I think V10 will change things an awful lot, and I think the clans that are the best at the moment, or I think it will get shaken up a bit. It's going to level the playing grounds a lot in terms of clans.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see quite a few new clans coming up, and surprising everyone with V10.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you probably see a lot more armor players coming through if it's like the test. Like the playtest was, which is again why I hope it won't be like the playtest. But if it is like the playtest, the style of gameplay has completely changed and it's become a lot more Milsim.
Well, I suppose with all the planned updates, it might sort of counteract those with obviously the planning helicopters and eventually down the line more sort of like tank oriented vehicles, I suppose they could end up countering sort of like the sit behind like 500 meters and just camping.
Yeah, they can and can't at the same time, because they also kind of mean, like the 30mm, they buffed that so hard and it became, in my opinion, way overpowered because there was just nothing that could counter it. Like in the playtest for V10, this is. And 30mm BTR just seemed like it was, you couldn't defeat it. It took 3 or 4 freaking RPGs or anything to get it down. A striker stood absolutely no chance.
Yeah, because it's still in V9. It's still pretty tanky anyway.
Yeah, and in V10 playtest, they made it a whole lot more, and of course they gave it fragmentation rounds, so it could just sit in front, outside of a cap, just blasting the occupants to pieces. I mean, it was a common occurrence to get 30 for 0 kills, etc., in a BTR 30mm, and it's just because there was nothing to counter it. So vehicles will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of implement them. Personally, I think helicopters are overrated. I don't think they'll be that great. I think it'll kind of just be a case if you go in with a helicopter and you'll have some like man with a rocket just underneath, and as you get out, you'll die. But tanks could be very interesting. I'd like to see how they're added. From what I've heard, if it's anything like PR, where you couldn't really destroy tanks, but you could disable them by taking their tracks out, stuff like that, then it could be really, really good fun.
I could just picture somebody sticking an IED right underneath a blooming tank.
Yeah, exactly. Which could be really good, to be fair. Yeah. I like the idea of having these immobilized tanks and then having to go out and repair them or whatever.
Potentially,
also,
yes.
Different like play styles potentially, where protect the tank or something like that. Like different game modes where you've got these really high value assets that you just can't afford to lose.
Yeah, possibly, because I mean, they're not opposed to bringing a new class and everything, because they've now got like machine gunner, opposed to like alongside the automatic riflemen, etc. So yeah, you never know, could see something like that. Would definitely make for some interesting battles. But obviously, James, with V10 and everything, and the potential new recruits and everything, how's the server going to hold up against all that?
We'll handle it. We've got one of the most powerful servers in the community for squad, along with a lot of other squad communities do. So we're running the top of the line we can for the game. So a lot of it does come down for OE's optimizations, but the options for scalability it's there. If we need more power, we can sort it.
Do you think we might end up with maybe 2 servers, or we just can keep running the one?
That sort of like maybe follows through to what one of the announcements that the founders want to sort of let out. Like, so we were speaking the other day with a few of our American colleagues or teammates about getting a fresh push into the US time zones to try and broaden the TLR community out into, well, a multi-time zone community. So the possibilities for more servers are definitely going to be there, and hopefully having a TLR presence over in States time servers as well.
How many do we actually have in America at the moment?
American players, 5 or 6. So it's going to be more of a recruitment process for that.
Is it sort of going to end up sort of like its own sort of area as such, or you can like have one person sort of like organising that for you, or is you still going to have it as sort of it is now, just everyone dipping in here, there and everywhere?
At the moment, it's going to be anybody in the state time zone just putting feelers out. I'm pretty sure Fall Down, who's one of our long-term community members, is starting to make tracks on getting a few more American faces in. So yeah, we'll definitely be getting the support from the US time zones players.
Well, let's throw one at Pigeon, because he's been rather quiet over there.
Yes, go for it.
So, what events as such do we have planned, if any? Are there any sort of plans in the works for community events? Because obviously we said it's looking at potentially creating a weekly one. Anything outside of that?
Yeah, at the moment we're looking at making events in several different games and sections and go through the logistics of that. Implementing section leaders and things like that is going to make that much easier process, as it allows for sort of them to dictate what they want from their game. As far as events go, planned at the moment, we have a Total War event coming up, which will be starting off the middle of this month, hopefully, and that'll be a knockout tournament, and that's something I would like to see sort of more regularly, is sort of getting some more sort of competition play in among ourselves. And luckily, sort of Total War is one of those games that it's quite easy to do in that regards. So we'll be doing that. Also, on the squad side of things, we now have a modded server that we can run. So we'll be looking at different sort of, as the mod community grows, which it seems to be doing exponentially in squad at the moment. So it'll be very interesting to see what game modes come out of that and how we can tie those in with events, which is something I'd like to see done more of. And that takes us back to sort of post-script and being just a mod. It's going to be very interesting to see what the rest of the community do within squad regards that, and sort of lets us sort of set up more customizable events and things. And having the sort of now a Windows modded server allows us a lot more flexibility for events in that game. And I'll just say, if there's any section leaders out there or any members that just want to have an event around a game, reach out and either speak to one of the founders or speak to Sam, who's head of events, and we'll certainly set something up, because the more events we have, the better. It gives a level of cohesion among the members here. Maybe some people who are just sort of casual about playing one game and, you know, are thinking about maybe trying out something new. An event sort of lets them come in and sort of have a little feel and see how they like it and get to know the people who play it more regularly.
Yeah, because we've definitely been expanding with a lot more games recently, so yeah.
We have indeed.
Yeah, I think there's definitely potential for events in different ones, especially sort of like Vassin's War Thunder. It's pretty much anyone can just jump into that and grab a tank and away you go.
No, exactly. And as I say, it'll be events, I think, will be very much driven by the players of those games inside the community. So, you know, that's where the events are going to come from. It's going to be, you know, up to you guys to let us know what events you want, and we'll do the organisation and get it going.
Yeah, so obviously this one coming back to you, James. Obviously, with people potentially wanting more events and everything, if there's enough people, say for example, I know Pyro has a fair few doing Rust and everything, is there potential for people to get like a server for a week to do an event or whatever?
Yeah, that can be arranged. I have seen in regards to Rust, a lot of people actually playing that. So if someone did want to make that more of a section for TLR as well, then hit me up or hit the founders up. It's everything we want to do, we can plan and get done.
So other than sort of like requesting sort of servers and etc., what exactly do people need to do to get some sort of event organised? Literally just message you guys and let you guys deal with it, or should they go get a set group of people who have already said, yeah, I'd want to do that, and then come to you guys saying like, hi, I've got X people who want to do this? What would be the best way for people to do it?
Currently we've very much been doing everything through Discord and messaging through Discord. However, for arranging to do things, I think it might be better to start using the forum more. And just basically chugging a post up saying we're looking at doing this. Anybody else interested? And as the same with Discord, you can ping any of the founders / moderators up there to get more traction going on that area, which I'd probably say is the best way of doing it, because you don't just lose the planning in a wall of text in Discord. Like in Discord, it's all in a structured format by going on a forum.
Yeah, a lot of things like with Discord, I think it's very good for like those one-game clans. But when you start becoming like this multi-game community like us, you get to this point where you've got this many members, you really start to see the limits of Discord when it comes to organising stuff, which has been like a big problem for myself in terms of trying to get squad stuff going. But also, whenever people have an issue or anything that they want to talk about, if they post it on Discord and you're away from your computer for the day, and then you come back and you've got this wall of text going back hundreds of pages and you can't really read it. So Discord definitely has its limits. I think it's, as a clan, I think we kind of want to, or a community, we kind of want to start moving away from Discord a little bit in terms of the infrastructure and the actual setting up of everything, and keeping it more for just general chat on Discord.
No, yeah, that's fair, that is, yeah. So obviously, on past you say you've looked at Hell Let Loose, but any sort of games any of you lot are particularly looking at for 2018? Anything that you could think could be a good game for the clan as a whole, or just personal preference?
For more like team-based gameplay, or like as like the Division has been doing, where a group of people have just got together to play a few rounds. A game I'm looking forward to is Anthem, which is I believe done by BioWare, which is sort of futuristic fighting. So that's a game I'm looking forward to.
Red Dead Redemption 2. That'll be fun. I think that's supposed to come out in 2018 anyway, isn't it?
I think it's out this year, yeah.
And then if it ever comes out, freaking Bannerlord. That'd be good fun. Although I have no idea what's happening with that game because that's been in the works for years.
Yeah, there's a lot of games becoming sort of like that these days, aren't there?
Yeah, it's quite irritating. It's a freaking constant development cycle. But I mean, and then obviously I suppose there's Star Citizen as well.
It's the problem with early access, though, isn't it? It's really allowed developers to release games early, just to basically make them feel like they should keep working on it instead of getting a game fully done and releasing it like it used to be.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, I must admit, Rockstar in terms of doing GTA and Red Dead Redemption are so good in how they develop their games, because they release a finished product and then they keep on working on it for 5 or 6 years. But I mean, their resources are far more than most indie developers, I suppose.
Yeah, we are starting to see a lot of indie games becoming quite popular these days, though. So there's definitely potential for these small indie developers to start becoming these big, massive companies that start just pumping out more and more games. I mean, just look how fucking successful PUBG's been. That's just fucking gone crazy.
I think a lot with PUBG, though, is very much that it hit the streamer scene very early.
Yeah, that's definitely helped.
But the thing is, like, it's definitely boosted their growth, but I still feel they've been very slow in getting things done.
Oh, they're
especially with the amount of money they've actually made and been able to pump into that game. Instead of like focusing on getting the PC version done, they've immediately gone to releasing it on Xbox, releasing it on PS4 in, to be quite frank, a bad done state. I mean, PS4 like haven't even accepted the game because they don't accept early access games. They accept finished products.
Yeah. Pigeon, any games you're looking at?
Well, again, I'd be interested to see where Star Citizen goes. I think that's, from a community point of view, that has a lot of opportunities for, being a community-driven game and getting lots of TLR members sort of playing and grouping up together. So I like that element. Personally, I'm looking forward to the new historical Total War games. I wasn't a particular fan of the fantasy side of things, so...
Boo, get out of it.
Yeah, I know, controversial opinion, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the historical versions, and especially the new one coming up based around Britain. I think that'll be fascinating, something I'll certainly be sinking some time into myself.
Yeah, they've never really sort of focused so much in sort of like one particular area, really, except obviously with Japan with the shoguns and sort of other than that, it's just sort of been time periods. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they manage it.
Yeah, seeing the switch from time periods to geographical zones, I think would be very interesting, and sort of just more detailed, smaller sort of map areas, I think would be very interesting. And for this particular upcoming one, I like the time period, and I think it will be sort of, a more distilled version of maybe what Charlemagne expansion was.
Yeah, potentially. Just hope we don't get our asses raped by some nice little Vikings.
Yes. Balancing the Danes is a bit of a tricky one.
Yeah, because I think one of the main problems with Total Wars, there's always been sort of one faction that has just kind of steamrolled everyone. There's just always the one who is a go-to overpowered blooming monstrosity.
Yeah, like Attila. Turning up and having to kill him numerous times. That has destroyed more than a few campaigns for me. Just him turning up and being OP.
Well, just get good.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. I really do.
Hey, that's my catchphrase.
It's fine, at a Total War event, you can just put yourself against me. I'll show you how to just completely decimate yourself.
Oh, that sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, game on, boy.
Game on.
Creatrix, you got any games outside what's been said?
I'm looking forward to see what happens with Escape from Tarkov this year. I mean, they've come a decent ways. I'd be interested to see that open a lot more into the plans that they have, so that we can drive a bit more a community vibe towards it. Because right now we've just got people squatting up on that, and that's about all you can do. But if we could actually get some proper shit going with that game this year, that would be pretty awesome to see. Other than that, no particular games. I'd like to see some more, some growth in the free-to-play areas. Like, I particularly liked playing War Thunder recently, and that's been growing again. And I used to play a lot of those kind of games. And I know a lot of people were getting into Heroes and Generals a while ago before that died a death again, so...
Yeah, there've been a couple of attempts to
interesting.
revive that, but they've not worked, have they?
Yeah. I think those are the games that interest me most from the multi-gaming aspect of things, because we can pull everyone into those games easily, because it costs them nothing to try it. Obviously, people like Morris, with their slow-ass download times, can't come on and play, but most people...
nobody cares
can
about
just
Morris
hop on.
anyway.
Exactly.
Shaming Morris publicly.
I've got to, man. So, I think for the most people, it allows them to just hop into a game. They don't have to worry if they don't like it, because they can just uninstall it again. But if they do, they've got a nice easy win there, and we can throw events and shit at that no end. Whereas one of the difficult things that we have with a lot of the games that we want to do is we've always constantly got to be weighing up, well, how many people are actually going to be able to play this game, because how many people are going to own it and get invested in it and stuff like that. So
Well, Fall Down's got quite an interesting question, but first Morris says to all of you that he hates you, so, there's that.
Oh, I love Morris.
I like Morris.
Yeah,
he's my bitch.
I like Morris.
Fall Down's got an interesting point here. Whether or not getting into VR. What's everyone's opinions on VR these days?
I mean,
Too early.
it's way too expensive. The system specs you need to run it are kind of unreasonable right now. The applications that actually allow and support VR are stupidly narrow. It's way too gimmicky right now, to be honest. Like, I know a lot of people, like streamers and stuff, have been enjoying Onward, like Fall Down's referenced, but I don't know, from a community standpoint as well, there's a limit to what you can actually achieve with that. I feel like it's cool for the one or two YouTube videos that you see, but if you want to do a regular thing with it, I don't know how that would go down. I think we'd be much better off getting some like armor events up if we were going to go down that route and doing that properly.
Well, Fall Down says apparently you can run VR on a 970. I don't honestly. I know jack shit about VR. I've not paid any attention to it
It's
really.
still out of reach for some people.
It is, and you can run it on a 970, but the point is that the headset itself costs £350 at minimum, so you're talking about a £200 graphics card at the very least, £350 for a headset as well, I think most people would get a much better investment out of that money in buying, a decent graphics card, but then a good monitor, so they can enjoy all games to a better degree, and not just the very few that have VR support and the even fewer that have multiplayer VR support. Because I mean, I must say, Doom, the VR port of that, and Skyrim looks pretty cool, but I don't think I'd pick Onward over Armor. I think I'd rather get head tracking, like Track IR, and play Armor than I would get a VR headset and play Onward. Because Onward seems very restricted right now, as far as what you can actually do with it.
I'm pretty sure I heard that they were playing sort of like a VR PUBG sort of thing.
Yeah, that sort of brings up somewhat of my thoughts on VR at the moment, that it's this almost vicious circle, that the problem with VR right now isn't the technology, which it's historically been. It's been technology that's been holding us back. Now with VR, it's the game developers. They're just not releasing good VR games, and that's stopping people from buying into it, which only enforces developers needs not to carry on developing. And if you're not playing racing games or cockpit flight sims or things like that, there's very little options out there for you, which is why we find VR games that people are looking forward to. They're historical games. They're sort of reworked games like Skyrim or Fallout 4, stuff like that. It's not the new games coming out for VR that people are getting excited about. And I think that fundamentally is the problem, that we just aren't having games that really utilize the technology that we have now, because they can't see an immediate return on their investment.
PUBG will monkey patch it in. I can tell you that now.
It'll be pretty shit if they implement it. I mean, you can tell there's only really one AAA developer, as Pigeon just said, that's really doing it, and it's Bethesda. They're doing it with Skyrim because, who doesn't want another version of Skyrim to play?
Yes, please.
And buy. Doing it with Fallout 4, obviously, and doing it with Doom. So that's only one AAA dev. The rest of them, it's not worth the investment for them. And then, as a result, it's not worth the investment for most people to buy one of those sets and do it. Yeah, I think maybe in another couple of years, sure, you'll be looking at VR possibly being more mainstream, or possibly you'll be looking at it as a dead attempt at another medium to play games. I don't know.
Well,
that's a tricky one.
I think with VR, there's going to be a fair few people who can't do it because they just can get like motion sickness and everything. Because I know there's a couple who are starting to get that with like first person in PUBG. There's a few people who are getting sort of queasiness with that and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try and work around that to try and get it open for as many people as possible. I don't know. It's definitely one thing to watch, I think.
Yeah, I really hope that it doesn't become sort of a dead technology like 3D TVs and 3D movies have become, because the technology is fascinating, but for game-specific sort of needs, they're just, unless you're really into wave shooters, then there isn't that much out for you in VR at the moment.
Well, you got the VR chat. I've been hearing a lot about that.
True.
I mean, the guys at my work that have got it have literally said it's only like semi-acceptable application has been VR porn.
Which,
well, okay.
in my opinion, is enough. That's a justification alone.
Oh my god.
You can feel this disdain radiating from the partial.
Just yeah. Can't believe we've descended to this level.
Welcome to the world of your colleagues.
I think
the best bit is that I was going to mention VR porn, but I was like, no, I'm going to restrain myself because I'm a mature human being. I'm not going to bring this up, and then
yeah, but
someone else did it. So it's amazing.
You can't. Amazing. No, I wasn't going to say it's amazing. I know
it is.
I haven't. I expect it is. I haven't had the pleasure yet. I don't know if that's the right word to use there, but I think in this context, it's a fair thing to bring up, as porn has basically driven a lot of technology. It's driven all the formats that we use.
You'd love it, Pippin. You'd be able to see those penises in such vivid detail.
I'm looking forward to being able to see them from all angles now.
Oh my god. Okay, let's move this on.
Yeah. Wow, I've run out of questions. I think on that delightful bombshell, that might be a good time to stop then. Fucking hell.
One more. We got our last thing, haven't we?
Oh yeah, you've got your little announcement.
Go on, Creatrix, you can do it.
Why am I?
Yeah,
doing
make
it?
the poorly man speak. Yeah,
Yes.
real nice to you, James.
It's your baby, man.
Oh, okay. So TLR now has a new forums set up, and that can be found at forums.tlrgaming.com, and is now openly available for everybody to go and have a look at, sign up, and start the conversations. The old forums will be being redirected to there. I mean that's mainly it. All the main content has been ported across over to it. The only downside is that you do have to sign up to the forums again. So apologies for that in advance. If you don't have the TLR member role, just make sure you PM one of the founders, and we'll sort that out.
It's a massive improvement, though. It looks 10 times better. It's, as I said, we're trying to move away from Discord into the forums. This is kind of why we decided to sink a lot of money into this new forum software, which basically all of the donations we've had over the last couple of months have gone into it. It looks amazing, and we're going to try and run everything off there. Comes with a built-in calendar as well, so like events have our RSVPs now, so we're essentially going to try and move the clan off of Discord and more onto the forums now.
So basically just leaves Discord for the communication when you're in the game, etc.
Discord for general chitty chat, which is what it's there for. It's there for people to chat. But if it's anything serious, if it's anything clan related, rules, blah blah blah, thoughts, opinions, that all needs to go on the forums now, really. And in terms of section leaders, it's now going to be like their place to organise stuff. So in terms of organising events, organising rules, organising members, it's all going to be done on the forums now, hopefully.
Fair enough then.
And they look really, really good.
Yeah, I had a little peek last night. It did look quite nice. Looked sleek. Yeah. On that note then, I think we'll call it there, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Cheers, my man.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thanks,
Or
man.
Tay-Tay.
Yes, let's not go to the Tay-Tay. No, let's not. So we'll be back next week with a new set of guests. Thank you very much for watching.